pilots, Drain Man here, and today we are going to do a very quick and fast Betaflight setup. And this is updated because Betaflight has changed so much over the years. I don't want to get lost in any of the old stuff. If you've got a quadcopter, maybe you bought a pre-built, or maybe you built this one with me in my video that I will link down below for 150 bucks. If you built this is going to be your setup video. Now, we're not going to go in depth. We're just going to dive into the basics to get you in the air. All right, so this is a drone that we built. So if you've also built this drone, which I've dove down into the comments, we're now 7 or 8 months later. A lot of these parts are out of stock or the prices have gone up. So maybe you built your own quadcopter, or maybe you want me to go ahead and make a new updated $150 or $200 build. It's kind of hard to build a quad for 150 bucks these days. Let's be honest, okay? If you guys want more information or you want a new build, please jump down in the comments and let me know. All right, pilots, let's dive right in. So the very first thing you're going to need is Betaflight. You need to download the configurator, and you're going to want the new one. That is 10.10 at the time of this video. I've got a full video on how to download 10.10 and how to put the newest firmware on your flight controller, and that is 4.5 at this time. Now, before you go flashing firmware and all these other things, I want you to know that if you bought a stack recently or you bought a newer pre-built drone, you don't have to flash firmware. What's on there is probably suitable. So just make sure you have the newest configurator, 10.10, and let's start rolling through the basics. So you should have Betaflight pulled up, and it should look like this. The next thing you're going to need is your connector. If you've got a micro USB, use it. If you've got a Type-C, then use that. But you need to make sure that it's a data cable, because if not, none of this is going to work, and then you're going to get extremely frustrated. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in now. And now we're connected. So we need to jump up to this top right-hand corner and look for our COM port. When I drop down, I don't have one. What am I going to do? Don't stress, this is very common and it's a simple driver issue. The beautiful thing is ImpulseRC Driver Fixer 99.999% of the time will fix this for you. So you're going to go ahead and use the link that I put down in the video description, and you're going to download the Impulse Driver Fixer. I already have it, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it off my PC, and I want you to see how it works. I'm going to jump in here, and here it is right here. Boom. It pops up, it's searching, it found it, it's fixing, we're connected. I'm going to go ahead and close it out because I don't need it anymore. So before we go any further, we want our gyro and our accelerometer up and working. So we need to see communication on this 3D model. So I'm going to pick up my drone. Oh, and you can see it moving. Ooh, and no matter how fast I wobble, you can see that. That bad boy keeps up, and that is what we're looking for. So find the nose of your quadcopter and face it forward. And you should see that happen in your 3D model. Then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go left, and I'm going to go right, and all those should correlate and make sense. If they don't right now, that's okay. But what's most important is when I set it flat, my quadcopter shows flat. I recommend this anyways, and I believe Betaflight does too, but if not, you do you. I recommend clicking on Calibrate Accelerometer. Very simple. Make sure your quadcopter is completely flat on a flush and flat surface, and click this button. Oh! You saw that? It made a very slight correction. And that's good. That calibrates it. Now you'll see it'll respond even faster. Okay? Very important and very cool. So let's head up to the top of the bar up here, and you're going to see gyro and accelerometer. They are lit up and they are yellow, not red or any other funky color. They are telling us they are live and active and working, and that is the very first step to be able to move forward in setting up your quadcopter. Now that we've confirmed accelerometer and gyro are working, is we want to make sure our receiver is live and connected and communicating. And if you don't have all these tabs that I show on the left-hand side, up here in the top right-hand corner, there's a little toggle switch called Enable Gyro Expert Mode. Just kick that on and you'll be rocking, okay? All right, pilots, now that we're in, before you change anything, I don't, but it is recommended that you save your current settings so that way, if something were to happen, you can back it up and put it back on. So if that's something you want to do, drop all the way down to the CLI. So you'll type in dump or diff all. Oh, made a mess. Press enter, and then at this point you're going to click save to file, and then just go ahead and save this somewhere where you're not going to forget. Give it a name so you don't forget what you're saving and where you're saving it. And in the event that you need to put this back on, you would just come to the CLI command, you would hit load from file, and you would grab that file and just load it, and it goes back and returns all of your factory settings, that how you received it, because you may decide that you want to get exciting and creative and mess with firmware. That's perfectly fine. And if you make a boo-boo, this will get you back to what you need to be in. In today's day and world, there are two main receivers, in my personal opinion. You've got Crossfire and you've got EZLRS. I've got two very fantastic videos on setting up both of those. I'll put links to the Crossfire and EZLRS setup videos down in the video description. You can go check them out and walk through them. So let's assume that you have done that. So I'm going to power up my radio. And there she is right there. And as you can see here, I've got full bars. So now these two are connected and communicating. So I'm going to shoot down to receiver, and I'm going to move my sticks around, and look at that. And you can see my model is responding, and you need to make sure that these are correlating properly, right? Throttle, up, down, yaw, left, right, pitch, up, down, and roll, right, left. Okay, we need to make sure those are working, because if not, you're not going to get very far. If you don't know how to set up your radio and you have one like this, I actually have an old video you can follow. It's to set up OpenTX, but EdgeTX and OpenTX are very, very similar. So our next step is to set up our VTX. Now, you may be running analog like this $150 build. Nowadays $200 build, or you may be running HD. If you're running a analog build, I'm going to quickly show you how to set that up here in the video transmitter tab. You'll click on that, and I'm going to show you how to load a VTX table, because that is kind of how this is done. I'm going to be honest with you though, analog is pretty much set right out of the box. There's not much you need to do. You can go ahead and just find the channel that it's on. Something like this has a button. You can turn it up manually to the max setting to get yourself lots and lots of range, and you don't really need to set this up, but it is good practice, and I do need to show you how to quickly do it. So first you need to know what protocol that it runs, and the very first thing to do in order to that is to head over to what you actually bought. So in my video here, Build This Quality Freestyle Drone, we did our VTX as a SpeedyBee TX 800 VTX. Very simple, very nice. I'm going to jump back into Betaflight, and I'm going to click Wiki. Once I'm here, I'm going to click on VTX Tables, see this document. Boom. Once I'm here, I can scroll down, and I know that I have an IRC tramp. But if you're unsure, right here we can scroll on down and just look through all the settings, and you can see the connections. And you do need to know the UART that you put it to, right? Because you're going to have your power, you're going to have your ground, you're going to have your video, and you're going to have a UART connection, a T1, T2, T3, whatever it may be. So we went ahead and soldered to T. What do we solder to? And it went here, 12 volt ground, video out, and T1. So my video transmitter, VTX, is on T1. Okay, so we'll need to head over to our VTX tables. We're looking for the Speedy VTX 800. If you don't have this same VTX, find the website in which you bought the VTX or Google it and pull up that one and find out what it runs. As far as the UART, it matters where you soldered it. Where did you solder it? As you know, we soldered mine on T1, so we'll be able to set up from there. So we will right click, we will click Save Link As. Then we're going to go to our fun folder. That is going to be in my documents, FPV, and in here I need a folder. I'm going to just use my backup folder, and it says what it is right here. It is a Speedy VTX 800 US.json. That's the file that you need. And some VTX tables are done through the CLI command, and that's okay. You'll just copy that whole thing. You'll go to the CLI command and you'll press enter and you'll put it in. Let's go ahead and save this file. Boom. Now we're going to jump back into Betaflight and we're going to hit load from file. And we're going to go back into that same folder by going to our documents, FPV, backup folder, and there she is. Open. Make sure you click save. Once you have saved, you're going to head over to the ports tab. This is a beautiful tab where you get to connect all of your fun stuff. And under peripherals, I'm going to select disabled and I'm going to click on VTX IRC Tramp. Okay, that is what's going to allow this communication to happen. So I'm going to click save and reboot. And now when we go back to our VTX table, there she is. What do you know? It all worked. Now, I don't want to get crazy in the setup, but right down here in the bottom, you can choose the number of power levels, which you're going to want to correlate that with your actual VTX, right? So let's head up here. What do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 different power levels. So in Betaflight, I'm going to change my power levels to 4, and then I want to make sure those match. 25, 2, 4, 6. What do we got here? We've got 25, 2, 4, 8. So back into Betaflight, and that is 25, 2, 4, and 800. Boom. Okay, that is the value. Now you're going to pick your band. I want to be an R, and I like channel 1. That's just where I go, but you go where you want to go. And I'm going to select 800 here. If you want pit mode is where you can turn off your VTX while you're in the pit, you know, so you don't blow out other racers or other people. It's actually really good so you don't burn up your VTX, but you have to be careful because if you accidentally fly out somewhere with pit mode on, disarm, now you don't have the video power to get back. So be careful playing with that one, all right? For my pilots that are running HD, you might be like, well, God, I didn't do analog. I have a DJI Vista or a Wasp or a Runcam or a whatever you got. Maybe you got the new 03. This is much, much simpler, to be honest. It really is, because it is going to communicate with your goggles by pressing bind. Boom, those are now working. Now you're going to jump into Betaflight. Where did you set up your UART, right? Your VTX, let's go ahead and pull one up really quick. Power, ground, and what's that? RX-TX. Are you seeing a pattern? Very simple stuff, guys. So you're going to grab that RX and TX and you're going to send it over. So if we follow this diagram, they solder to TX3 and RX3. So we're going to head into Betaflight. We're going to go into our ports tab, and under RX3, TX3, that is UART 3, we're going to go ahead and check our MSP because that is how HD works. Now, a lot of these air units, O3s, they can also do receiver. So the DJI O3 and the Vistas all have options to run DJI's radio. If you have that, in that same wiring diagram, there is your connection. Here it is, HDL and ground. On the Vista, I think it's called S-Bus and ground. You'll see where you soldered those. So where did they go here? They went to S bus, which is RX1. Very simple stuff. We're going to check our UART3 because that is where the module is. And then we're going to head under serial RX and we're going to select 1. So it should look like this. I'm going to turn this off. That is what you would look like if that was your wiring, right? All right, so let's go ahead and set up our switches. You got to have switches. You really only need one switch, and that is your arm switch. But you should have a couple. If you want to just have ARM, then just have ARM. But I'm going to show you what to do. Head over to the Modes tab. And the reason why we had to make sure our receiver was working first is this isn't going to work if our receiver is not on, powered, connected, and communicating. So make sure you've got the bars. That means my radio is talking to my receiver. And make sure over here in the receiver tab you have this communication, because if not, this isn't going to work. The only mode that you have to have is ARM. So we're going to click add range. Now, to make your life easy, right here on this drop down, put it on auto. Okay, and then you're going to move the stick that you want for arming. So I like to arm with this one. So watch, I'm going to move it. Betaflight is incredible. So it has already found it. It's aux2, which I knew that already, but if you didn't know that, the auto will find it for you. Now, I'm going to move the switch a couple times, and I'm going to watch this parameter. It's going to be anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000. See it? So in this direction, I'm 1,000. In this direction, I'm 2,000. 1,000, 2,000. 1,000, 2,000. Let's not make it more complicated. Just slide this slider over the one that you want armed. So I like to arm by going down. That is arm for me. See the yellow tab? Grab the yellow bar, slide it over. When this button is down under this, it's on. And when it's not armed. Very simple. Armed, disarmed. Does that make sense? Something else, if you're a beginner, you may want to fly in angle mode. That is where the quadcopter self-levels and helps you out. It's not going to hover by itself. You will still need to control that bad boy, but it will stay leveled. It's not going to follow your last recommended input, which is considered acro or rate mode is what they used to call it. And here it is right here, angle. So I'm going to hit add range. Make sure I'm in auto, and I like to use this switch. Watch. Boom. That was aux1. Now, when I want this to work, I want it to be down. So, down is over here. I'm going to slide over it. Off is off. On is on. Easy. Easy as pie, am I right? The next thing that I want is I want flip over after crash, aka turtle mode. That is when you crash upside down. You would flick this switch, boom, activate, and then you can move your switches over here to go ahead and bloop, 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 bloop. And now you're back upright because maybe you landed on a roof and you can't get up there to get it. So flip over after crash can be very, very important. It really, really can. But something that you need to know is it pulls a lot of amperage. You can easily get hung up. Boom. I am upside down in a tree and I want to flip over after crash. You can, but if you start wailing on those days, wah, 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 you run a very healthy chance of blowing that ESC or motor. So be careful and use this with discretion, okay? So I'm going to click add range. I'm going to move my switch that I want to use for turtle mode, flip over after crash, and I'm going to move that. And again, that was a 2,000. So I'm going to slide it over and then I'm going to go up is off. Now, this is a 3-position switch. So if I stop in the middle, you'll see I'm at 1,500. Maybe you want it to work on both middle and bottom. That's okay. You'll just extend this over that 1,500 mark and watch. 15, it's on. 2,000, it's on. But yet at 1,000, it's off. And that's okay. That's not what I want. But you can do that if you would like to. On, off. Now, bottom right-hand corner, press save. Question, Drain Man, how do I know what aux channel it is? I don't want to use auto. Auto isn't working for me. How do I find this? I'm going to give you a quick little secret. Make sure you save if you needed to save. Head over to the Receivers tab. Boom. And in here, if I flick a switch, notice all these auxiliaries. They will move and let me know where they are. So I'm arming. Remember, it was 2. I'm going to move it. Oh, there's 2. So I know, right there's my arm on channel 2. So I already know it's channel 2 in my modes tab. I could just put this on aux 2. I don't have to use auto because I know that it's on aux 2 because I just looked and checked. But personally, I like auto. It ensures that there are no errors ever. We're going to head over to our motors tab. Now, the next thing that you need to know, very important, are you going to run props in or are you going to run props out? If you don't know what this is, I still just say go ahead and run props out. It's most common these days. A lot of new ready-to-flies are coming with props out. If you bought one and it was preset up, you can look and see which direction the propellers are spinning from the factory. Look at the propellers that are on there because 2 propellers need to go this way and the 2 in the back need to go this way. So let me show you a quick diagram. Here it is. On the left, that's props in. On the right, that's props out. This diagram came from Betaflight, and it's simple. It makes sense. So your motors have to be in the correct spot. If they're not, when your quad says, hey, I need to go this way, it's going to use motors 1 and 2. If they're actually over there, I need to go that way. Okay, so you're going to have a lot of problems. It probably won't even arm because Betaflight is very, very intelligent these days. You're going to arm and it's going to freak out and crash. And at that point, you know you've done something wrong. Your props are on wrong or your motors are not configured correctly. And that's where you'll use this setup. Okay. Motor direction right now is going forward. We want props out. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to click save and reboot. Let's go ahead and reorder our motors to make sure they're in the correct direction. And you can do all this manually with this right here. You'll go ahead and power up. Okay, so in order for our sliders to work, we're going to need to understand the risk and we're going to need to make sure our propellers are off. Don't do this with propellers on. So I understand the risk. Let's go ahead and move motor 1. See it? It's spinning. And I don't know, is it going? Oh, it's going in the wrong direction. Whatever am I going to do? Well, don't worry, and you don't have to use this, but motor direction does need to be corrected. But either way, I'm going to press stop motors, which is going to reset, and I'm going to walk you through both of them. So let's click reorder motors. This is so simple and so great. And if for any reason you're using the browser version of Betaflight, which I have not shown you in this video at all, so I don't know why you would be on there, but if you are on there and you're having problems, get off, download Betaflight, and this will all work correctly, okay? So I understand the risk, and I'm going to hit start. See what's happening? That motor is going very simple. So I now tell Betaflight where that motor is. My quadcopter's facing forward. That motor is here. So there it is. It moves to the next one. See it? So boom, moves to the next one, okay? And that's how that's done, and I'm gonna hit save. So now all my motors are reordered in the correct direction. They already were for me, but if they weren't for you, that is how you do that. Now let's get them going in the correct direction because one is spinning the wrong way and the other one is going that way and it's a freaking mess. So we're gonna click motor direction. I understand. And you can do individual setup, but personally, why wouldn't you use the wizard? It's incredible and it's easy and it's amazing. So here we go. Start spinning. So all my motors are spinning right now. I'm just going to lightly take these 3 and I'm going to feel them. Oh. Oh. So that one is going that way. That is correct. I'm looking at my diagram. It's spinning outward, right? And I can feel that. Don't just grab it and lock that motor up. Just lightly feel. Just a light. It's going that way. So number 2 is correct. So let's leave it alone. We're going to head down to 1. Oh, 1 is going the wrong way. Watch and learn. You'll just click on 1. And in the blink of an eye, it took it, reset it, and turned it around. God, Betaflight is incredible. It really is. Look at that. So now I'm feeling it, and I'm going in the correct direction. So let's continue. Let's move to motor 3. We're going in the correct direction, so I'll leave it alone. And 4. Oh, 4 is wrong. So thus far, we've had 1 and 4 have been wrong, so I'm going to click on 4. Oh, as quick as a button, that sucker went ahead and went pew, 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 and now it's going in the right way. And if I feel we are all good, all of our motors are now in the correct direction, I'm going to hit stop motors, and I will click close. I am now set and ready and a rocking and a cocking and a jocking and a popping. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug. So now that we're ready, we can go fly. The last thing, this is the last thing I promise that you absolutely should and have to do is OSD. Let's head down here because you need to know if there's any warnings. Why isn't it arming? Low battery, all these kind of things. You need to know where your battery's at because this is important. If you're doing GPS, whole another ball game on the OSD, but very simple. There is only a few things you absolutely need. That is going to be your battery average cell voltage, and then you need some type of RSSI dBm value or RSSI value or a link quality, something letting you know that your receiver is getting a good range. And you don't have to have that because your radio should tell you, hey, RSSI low, but you don't want to fly outside that range, lose it, fail safe, and then you're in deep water. So I recommend setting it up average cell voltage. I'm going to hit select. Notice you have a 1, 2, 3. This is just different OSD profiles. See them? 1, 2, and 3. And that's okay. You can have 1, 2, and 3. So maybe you've got, a racing setup and a freestyle setup, and when you're doing GPS, you got one for that. That is what that's for. If you want to use it, go ahead, but you don't have to. Okay, so let's put on the necessities. Warnings down here. Look at that. They already checked those. You need those. So they've already checked those, and then you need some sort of RSSI value. So I'm going to click that one. Okay, so now I'm going to grab it and I'm going to put it in a spot where I want to have it. I like to have it up here. So when I'm flying, boom, right up here in the top right corner, I can see there's my battery. I'm going to keep my warnings in the middle because, bam, right there in the flash in the middle. I want to know what's going on. Oh my God, something's wrong. Let me know. I'm overheating. Let me know what is wrong. And then again, your RSSI, you can put that in the top left. Okay, that's a little high. So I'm going to bring mine down a bit, but you put it where you want it. And that is the beauty. You just simply click on it, move it around and drop it. Drop it like it's hot. And then you click save. Now we've got all of the basics that we need. We have everything from our receiver to our flight controller to our motors. Everything is set up and you are ready to fly this quadcopter. You can take this right now and fly it. I'm going to show you. I'm not even going to go fly it. I'm just going to unplug it from the screen. Let's go ahead and power up my radio. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take a battery. Watch and learn. I'm powered. I'm waiting for my link connection. So watch and learn. Ready? I am literally armed. Listen. So mine is working on, off. I can go fly right now, and I really haven't done much. I've just set up the basics. Betaflight gets a whole lot more and a whole lot more fun, but that is the basics to get you flying and get you in the air. Let's say I was actually going the wrong way. Right here in configuration, I could rotate the flight controller, flip the flight controller, do whatever I need to it to get it where I need it to be, and that is what that is for. Your personalization, jump into craft name. Put Drainman if you want. Arming. This is the one thing I did want to show you. Please make sure that you be careful here because this allows your quad to arm at different angles. This is 25. So if you know what perching is, I just perched on my hand while flying. I disarm. Bow. Well, what if I perched on a roof? Okay, I'm perched right now. That's more than 25 degrees. Now I'm in trouble because my quad will not arm past 25 degrees. So all of us more experienced pilots, and maybe you're one of them, maybe you're not, we jump into here and we arm at 180. That's dangerous though, because now I'm walking with my quad and it's in my hand. Well, normally it wouldn't arm here, but at 180, it will arm and it will take off my fingers. So please use this with caution, okay? Other features, just make sure air mode's on. If you want to learn about LEDs, and we have a full LED deal here, I am not going to go through this with you right now because it is a full-on process, and amazingly enough for you, I have a full Betaflight LED setup video. You can jump into that video. I will link it down in the video description, and then at that point, you are set to set up your LEDs and have some fun. LEDs are a lot of fun, and Betaflight's LED capabilities are very, very powerful. If you are interested in RPM filtering, maybe you've heard of that, maybe you want to fly that, and that's okay. In order to do that, you have to get off of BL Heli and flash over to Blue Jay, and I think it's like ESC-configuration or configurator.com. I'll put a link for you down in the video description, and you can go ahead and flash over to Blue Jay, and then you can run RPM filtering, but that is much more advanced than just basic setup. Also, let's jump into the PID tuning tab really quickly. So this is where you can control the flight characteristics. Betaflight 4.5, you should not have any issues, but if you have any sorts of stuttering or any type of prop wash that's really bad, or it's just motors are really hot, you're having any issues, please jump down in the comments, let me know. I will make a video on how to properly pin tune your quadcopter, and we can go ahead and do that together and get a little more advanced inside of this little playlist we got going on. But for the most part, the only thing you're going to want to touch inside of here, it would be your rates, okay? You can run actual rates, race flight, KISS, or quick rates, Betaflight, whatever you want. Me, I run very simple rates. I shoot over to Betaflight, I click change, I run 1 all the way down, I leave 7 all the way across the board, and I like my roll to be just a pinch faster, and I like my pitch to be just a pinch faster. That's just me. You do what you want to do, and for Expo, I run a 1-1. So I'm going to put that for you guys in case you want to try the way that the good old train man flies. That's literally all I do. And there is one other thing if you are wanting to play around a little bit. Let's jump over to presets, and in here you can load a profile. Look at this. They're tuned and filtered and all kinds of cool stuff depending on what you got. If you've got a race quad and it's a Viper Light, or maybe you've got a brushless Whoop, you can use these presets simply by just loading them on, clicking save and reboot, and then you'll get to try out those, you know, those tunes and those rates and everything that they got built into those presets. All right, pilots, that is going to do it for our Betaflight setup video. That is your full walkthrough on what you need, just bare essentials to get this puppy in the sky and working. I really hope that your quad is working. I really hope that it's flying great. If for any reason you need more information on any more of this, dive down in those comments and let me know. Let me know, say, hey, we want a deeper video on this or that, and I will go ahead and get started. I really hope that you guys had as much fun as I did, and I will see you on the next one.